Welcome back to all our dear viewers watching us live here on ITV International and continuing our special coverage for the presidential elections in its third day abroad. The Egyptian abroad continue voting in the 2024 presidential elections on Sunday for the third and final day. Councillor Ahmed bin Dari, the executive director of the National Election Authority and the head of the Operation Chamber for monitoring the Egyptian expatriates vote in the presidential election, held several meetings via video conference with the head of the committees in a number of countries to follow up on the electoral process and the voters' turnout. Our dear viewers, we are joined now over the phone from Washington with Ms. Engy Gergis, the Vice President of the World Union of Egyptian Abroad. Good morning for you, Ms. Engy.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you? And now it's very early, I believe, in Washington, but can you brief us about the latest regarding the electoral process for the presidential election on its third and final day, as you have cast your ballots yesterday, Ms. Gergis?
Yes, actually, I was here in D.C. at the embassy. Actually, during the recent election here in Washington, D.C., the embassy played a pivotal and remarkable role in ensuring the smooth and successful execution and democratic process. Actually, their dedication, efficiency, and support were nothing short of amazing.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Gergis, the importance here of people, Egyptian expatriates, to go and cast their vote in the presidential election, how do you see the importance of such a move that every Egyptian living abroad should be doing?
Well, actually, people here in D.C., it was, they know the rules, and they were very dedicated. I want to tell you that I witnessed elderly people with special needs, young children were here, especially yesterday and Saturday, because it was the weekend. They were gathering here, and they have the important rules as one of the institution, and that they had to, even people drove from far away, from North Carolina, from Florida. Each one of them drove minimum 4 to 6 hours driving just to come and participate in this great event.
Yes. Ms. Gergis, as the Vice President of the World Union of Egyptians Abroad, how do you see the feeling here among Egyptians about the feeling of duty to go and vote in the presidential election?
That was amazing feeling because we witnessed not only in the U.S., we witnessed in the entire world as the International Committee for Egyptian Abroad. We were in contact almost 24 hours here in the U.S., Europe, Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia. I'm telling you, like everywhere, they were amazing. Everyone, it was like a wedding. It wasn't just election. It was something that remarkable and memorable, very positive,
yes.
Very positive to Egyptians. I'm so proud.
Yes. How do you evaluate the turnout so far, Ms. Gergis, for the Egyptians in Washington and in the States, if you have the information so far, and as we are still having one day to go to end the third and final day of the electoral process in the countries abroad for the expatriates?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the embassies are sustaining support, and with the congregation, with the Egyptian people as well, who participated in this event, did a great job. Lots of voters were here, and I'm expecting great outcome. Almost done. Today is the last day. And we're expecting lots of people also to come and participate today. Yesterday was amazing. and I think the outcome will be great. Hopefully, after 9 p.m., we'll be able to know the final number, and hopefully the outcome will be great. I'm very optimistic about that.
Yes, Ms. Gergis, can you tell us about the facilities provided here by the Egyptian embassies and consulates throughout the United States for facilitating the voting process on the Egyptian expatriates who are going to cast their ballots?
Yeah, actually, in summary, the embassy outstanding support during this recent election in Washington, D.C. specifically showcased their dedication to demonstrate and be the principles and community management. They were proactive approach and the transparency and security contributed significantly to successful and truly remarkable election experience for all residents and observers.
Ms. Gergis, as we are heading for the final day of the voting process, especially in the United States, as it's the early hours of the morning, what's your message here for all the Egyptians abroad in order to go and cast their ballots before the closing of the polling stations?
Yes, my message to all Egyptians who live abroad, specifically here in Virginia, Washington, D.C., Maryland, other states, North Carolina, wherever, please do not hesitate to come. And this is one of your rights, one of your constitutional rights. So please come and vote for the president.
And finally, Ms. Gergis, what's your expectation and what are you waiting from the coming president for the Arab Republic of Egypt as an Egyptian expatriate? What do you want to witness during the coming presidential phase?
My expectation is very optimistic about the current situation in Egypt to ensure the safety. And I think we will continue. I think the outcome would be great. For whatever we saw yesterday and witnessed the day before yesterday and yesterday, the outcome would be great. Egypt was still an homeland for everybody, for Egyptians and all Arabs. And Egypt will be Egypt and be strong forever with the current president, and it will be for sure.
Indeed, Ms. Engy Gergis from Washington, the Vice President of the World Union of Egyptians Abroad. Thank you so much for your precious input, and indeed we are sorry for disturbing you in this very early hour in the morning in Washington. And indeed, Egyptians abroad are continuing to vote in the 2024 presidential elections on Sunday for the third and final day. Councillor Ahmed Binderi, the Executive Director of the National Election Authority and the head of the Operation Chamber for monitoring the Egyptian expatriates' vote in the presidential election, held several meetings via video conference with the head of the committees in a number of countries to follow up the electoral process and the voters' turnout. He asserted that the election process had been wrapped up in New Zealand and that the vote counting is beginning to start. Eligible voters in 121 countries and 137 embassies and consulates are casting their ballot in the election's first round over 3 days before voters at home head to the polls from the 10th till the 12th of the current month of December. Meanwhile, the electoral campaign of the presidential candidate Abdel Fattah al-Sisi continues its activities for the third day to follow up on the presidential elections 2024 for the Egyptians abroad that kicked off on Friday and continuing till the third day. The campaign's Operation Chamber eyed the huge turnout of Egyptian expatriates worldwide on voting in the first and second day until this moment. The Egyptian feeling of their national duty, it also posted photos of the voting turnout on the official page of the presidential candidate. our dear viewers. Now we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be going back throughout the day to continue our special coverage for the elections for the Egyptian expatriates.